spelling if it's a name that's not easily spelled or something like that, so that's that. Are we ready to go, folks? Oh yeah, I'm sorry. So our new clerk is Nicole, or she likes to be called Nikki. And then Jaylene is in the back, and then Rhonda's old seat, and she's our treasurer now. So they'll be working up at the town hall. And that. Hours, we're still kind of fine tuning that. They're gonna be here a little bit, maybe more hours than in the past, because right now they're learning and figuring everything out. So there's gonna be some extra hours that they will be here. But we have not determined yet if there'll be a major change in the office hours of the township and stuff like that. But for right now, everything should remain somewhat the same. Anything else on this?
Looks good, sounds good to me.
Okay, so the first thing we're gonna do is get the agenda approved. Everybody's seen it. We've had quite a few modifications to it. The only thing I was gonna ask, and it may be irrelevant now, is that if we move public comment to after the presentation, in case people are here to comment about the solar thing. Even though we're not gonna probably get to that, I guess that's kind of a moot point. But what else does everybody have for the agenda?
I have a couple.
Okay.
Under unfinished business, review planner meeting dates. Go over the ordinance manual. And then under new business, cleaning services for town hall.
I think that is listed right at the very bottom of our agenda. So I mean, it'll be in there, so. Okay. Pete, anything else, Dad?
Yeah, I got a whole bunch.
Oh.
One, I know we kicked it around a little bit. I don't know if we're gonna talk about, if we're gonna take a look at doing an audit or where that ever ended up.
New business, I don't think we're talking about it in the meeting, but.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
New business,
Yeah.
okay, not here.
Oh, it could have been, yeah.
Okay.
Second, I think Jordan hit on it. I was gonna talk about ordinance book, but I supposed to do that with the planner.
That's under unfinished business, yep.
Yeah. Are we gonna talk about, I know at our last Wednesday meeting, we were gonna move to this meeting about health in the back room. And were we gonna talk about that at this meeting?
Would, are you talking about, would that go under, well, I guess we could add that to approve training expenses for December and January, just want to slide it in there?
Yeah, I don't care.
All right.
Wherever. What else do I got here? I would like to revisit.
With it. This will be our people for the presentation.
Please. Yeah.
We can't believe you're late, I mean, come on.
Yeah.
This is just a normal everyday for us.
With everything we got going on, if the board, I'd like to talk about security cameras again at the building,
Okay,
if that would be possible, just a brief.
under new business?
Sure. I think that's it. I got IT down here, planner, we'll get to all that, we're good.
I got a
Yeah.
website written down here, were we gonna
So
talk
yeah,
about
I
that?
got that under committee reports, I just figured we'd kind of throw it all into
I
there.
think we talked about, maybe a meeting you were gone, I had website meeting written down, I figured we'd get to it sooner or later, but,
All right.
okay, I'm good.
DJ, anything?
I'm good.
Okay, Nora? Okay. Then do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
DJ makes a motion to approve the agenda, second.
Pete will second it.
Pete seconds. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Passes 5-0. I forgot we should, what do you guys want to do? How many people here would like to make a public comment tonight? Don't all raise your hands.
Yeah.
Just 3? Okay. And I know you want to make a public comment. You guys want to do the presentation first or do the public comment?
I'll do the presentation first. I think that.
Everybody good with that? Okay. All right, so if you guys want to come on up, who's ever going to speak, you get to sit now. Should we let them? He's here for the night.
Oh, okay.
So there's an HDM card, Jordan will help you get hooked up.
Awesome, thank you.
And yeah, if you want to take the hot seat,
Yes, I do.
It's not a big deal on it.
I'm working on it. No worries, no
What's
worries.
going on? News about you. Hey, hi. This is where you work.
Yeah.
If you need going, line is on, you can adjust it. You might
Okay,
need to
you want
turn
to
that
do
mic on.
you just gotta plug it in behind you. Plug it into the wall, it'll turn on.
I'm not sure where we want those.
What do I
The orange cord,
There's
plug
the
the
orange
orange
cord.
cord all,
Okay.
and that turns on the microphone. And it hums a little bit. Hopefully that'll-
It warms up.
No, it hums a little bit, I said,
Oh.
we'll go away, but
Sounds good.
we may have to think about maybe the old Radio Shack unit, maybe come to the end of this life.
I wonder how old that is.
Last time we had set the volume down,
I,
that's not gonna work.
yeah. Okay. Right.
It's all right.
Yeah, go ahead and unplug it and just, if you guys can't hear, I guess we're gonna ask you maybe to move into the chairs closer by so you can hear. So,
Loud and
all right, if I remember right, Patrick, right?
That's right.
Okay, so Patrick is from Atlantica, and they are taking over the solar project down on 230th and 225th, kind of between there and everything like that. So the original solar company is out, you can elaborate to why that is, and then your company is now in, and what your plans are, and that will give you the floor.
Okay, yeah, sounds great. Yeah, thanks for the introduction. Again, yeah, I'm work for Atlantica, Sustainable Infrastructure. I brought with me my two colleagues. There's Marta, the project developer, and then Javier Yopis, who is the permitting specialist with me today. And then I'm the engineering and development manager for Atlantica. So I oversee the development of our projects within the US. So, yeah.
We all have really good hearing. Sometimes we get complaints, people, so when you're talking, just talk that way.
Okay,
Yeah.
no problem.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. And so yes, we acquired this project from Solarstone, the previous developer. And so I'll give you a little bit of background on Atlantica as a company and who we are and what we do. So Atlantica acquired Castle Rock Solar, which is being developed in this township, from Solarstone, who previously started developing the project, and then Atlantica is a long-term owner and operator. So the plan is to develop this project and then operate long-term. So we're hoping to be a part of the community and work with the township. We have a strong presence. We have two headquarters in the United States, one in Tempe, Arizona, where Marta and Javier work out of, and then one in Charlottesville, Virginia. We have 2.2 gigawatts of existing assets in the United States. Of existing assets across 12 countries. 3 gigawatts of those are in the United States, and 72% of our development pipeline for the whole company is being grown in the United States. So we're kind of building out a team and working hard to develop good projects in townships and counties like this one. So that's who we are. A little bit about the project itself. So it's just southeast of Farmington. It's a 150 megawatt solar facility. We do have a proposed battery energy storage project, but that's just proposed. We've already submitted the application through the Minnesota Public Utilities for this project, and so we had a previous hearing about that. Our construction start date is Q1 of 2028 if we stick on schedule, and the operation date would be the end of Q4 in 2029. The operating life of the project is 35 years. The project area is roughly 1,400 acres, 1,380. And we have an interconnection application agreement that's advanced in MISO. So there's a middle RTO that we supply and submit an interconnection application request into. And so we're expecting an LGIA, which is the generator interconnection agreement, in March of 2026, given the current timeline. So we have pretty good confidence on the interconnection of the project. So it's somewhat advanced. So the current permitting process for this, since it's over 100 megawatts, this project goes through the Minnesota Public Utilities Commission. And so we've already submitted the application in January of 2025, and we had the permit hearing, which you may have heard about, in October. October 22nd was in person, and then 23rd was online. There's public comments that were generated from that, and so we're taking those into consideration, and we have to, adopt those into our permit application. So the ALJ is writing those public comments into a report and finalizing that. So if you haven't already, you can go to the Minnesota e-dockets. It's hard to see, but our number is 24-267 to access the documents. I put a little snippet there so you can find those. But it has all of the application documents that we'll cover in this presentation if you have any questions and want to review those. But that's where to find that. So that's the state level process, and then there's still a township level process that we need to be more incorporated with, and so that's why we wanted to be here and present this project to the community. Those include the ministerial permits that we'll need. We'll need a road use agreement, so we'll work with the township to make sure that we have the haul routes all planned out and make sure we survey the roads pre-construction. And then post-construction, we'll make sure to redo the roads at least as good as they were, if not better. I know for hauling major equipment, we have to repave roads, and there's a lot of gravel roads within the community and in the township where the project is being proposed. So, we're reviewing those, and we'll work with you in the township to see how we can improve those roads where we can. And then we still need to coordinate with the local response, emergency response providers, make sure that they have appropriate training and equipment so that it's not a burden onto the township to supply any type of special equipment that they might need. And then they'll also be authorizing and working with us for the mitigation response plan. As part of our application, we have to draft that, and they have to sign off and have approval that all of the measures are up to, what they feel appropriate for the area. And then the last one is the Dakota County Snowmobile Trail, which is a great day today to go on that. But there's a path that goes through the project area, the proposed project area, so we'll have to coordinate with them. We've already started communications with them, and we are just mapping out a new route through the project or around the project, depending. So that's where we are on the permitting. A little bit about the project benefits and why this might be, why we think this project is going to benefit the community. Being a long-term owner and operator, we would like to get jobs here if we can. We're going to operate the facility full-time. So during construction will be the biggest lift. We'll have 200 to 375 workers. We're working with local, labor as much as possible, and so we kind of have that worked into our permit application that we're going to be trying to find local labor and make sure that we have people who are local to the area and supply jobs. We also expect to hire a full-time, 3 to 6 staff members to maintain the project during operations. So the township impacts, it would be $185,000 to $310,000 of tax revenue to Dakota County, and then for the township annually, we expect $46,000 to $76,000, depending on our final design for the solar facility. And then environmental benefits, 20,000 homes will be able to be supplied electricity with 150 megawatts. So we'll offset 134,000 metric tons of carbon dioxide. So another thing for our application, and one reason we want to meet with the community members here, is we know visual impacts are something to really consider. And so we've been working with Stantec and local nurseries to try to get a visual impact and landscape screening plan, that everybody agrees with. And so you can kind of see a schematic of what we have proposed in different areas. It's a double tree lining of a mix of coniferous and deciduous trees. So some of them will hold, leaves all year round, and then some of them will drop and change color as the seasons change. We're working with, local nurseries to provide trees that are native to this environment, so that way they don't, stand out. And then we're doing a double row of planting, so that way you don't get that like patched, teeth work, kind of pumpkin patch looking tree lines as things mature and naturally kind of don't take root. So want to make sure that we work with that. We have some poster boards here with the vegetation screening of where we proposed it in our application, but that's still a dynamic conversation, so we're happy to take comments, especially for people that are here in the area. At the end of the PowerPoint presentation, there's a contact list, and so just feel free to reach out to us, and I'm sure you can find out information. But we really want to get plugged in more about the vegetation screening and get your guys' concerns. A little bit of like what this would look like in practice. At the intersection of 225 West and Belmont Ave, if you're looking south towards the project area, you might recognize that view. And then with the vegetation screening, and the panels behind it, that's what we're proposing. So again, we're continuing to communicate with you all and trying to get your recommendations for this vegetation screening and working here locally. So this slide's a little bit wordy. The next two slides are, but these are just special conditions that we've already considered with our application. And so there's two sections. One of them are general conditions, which are really just best practices that all projects going through the Minnesota Public Utilities Commission follows, as well as best practice for developing solar projects. It's things like protecting topsoil, minimizing impacts, restoring wetlands or avoiding them, cleaning up after construction waste, those types of things. The second group is special conditions that are particular to this particular project or the area. One of them is rerouting that snowmobile trail, which is a condition of the permit. Avoiding and minimizing impacts to the DNR, so the native plant community. And then also removing trees and shrubs for the loggerhead strike. Really, I think we're planting more trees than we're removing for this project, so that's not a big one, but we want to make sure that we're not impacting any of the native species here. So, and then, this next slide, again, is a little bit wordy, but it's kind of some frequently asked questions. And so I just wanted to address them because they are addressed in the environmental assessment and also in our permit application. One of them is like soil contamination and water testing, and so if the panels are toxic, or will they leak any chemicals into the topsoil, and so that's addressed. There's something called a TCLP testing, and it's basically where you crush up the panels and then test the toxicity level. It's an EPA test, and so we're looking for manufacturers that pass that TCLP testing, so that will ensure that no. Even if the panels break due to hail or an accident or whatever, something happens and the panels do get broken and crushed up, they won't leach anything into the soil. Another one is erosion, and so there's a pollution control agency that we're working with to avoid wetlands and sensitive areas. There is the Vermilion River that runs through the project area. And so we're staying well without, well outside of the shoreline zones for that area. And so we're trying to minimize any impacts that we can within that. And even work with, Stantec has a beacon software that tries to look at the grading of the topsoil and tries to minimize as much ground disturbance as possible. And then we can deploy other tracking systems that can help to mitigate any type of topography oscillations. So we're working with those to just try to avoid as much as we can any disturbance to the topsoil. Noise, there's an appendix I in the application that you can look at, and so there's threshold levels that are set that we have to stay below. And so all of our equipment that we're picking are going to stay below the sound and noise. Most of them like exceed the buffers that we need, but that's definitely something that we're considering and making sure that we're putting equipment far away from residences that you can't hear any of the noises running at night. Really, the solar facility doesn't produce a lot of noise. The inverters on them are relatively quiet and they're dispersed throughout the project area. And then we're co-locating existing equipment. And then the last one, I guess there's two more, but wildlife impacts. So there's an environmental assessment that the Minnesota Public Utilities produced in the application. So that's a separate study that was run by Minnesota. So it's like a third-party, independently run study. And they go through all of the different impacts like glare, coordination with the FAA. There's a lot of different sections that are covered in that EA. And there's even like electromagnetic fields and EMF study that was run as part of Appendix L of the EA. So we studied, if there's any electromagnetic radiation or frequencies that come off the panels and what the health impacts are for that. And there are no health impacts found. So that's kind of the special concerns here with that. And then the last one we normally get questions about is, what if this company, it sounds great, you guys are going to invest in the community, but for some reason, this project doesn't go forward, and you guys started construction or half developed the project, and it's no longer viable. So there will be a security bond that we'll put in place with Dakota County. So it's held with the county. And so it's reevaluated every 5 years, depending on the cost of inflation. The equipment will degrade over time, and so every 5 years we'll readjust what the cost of decommissioning this project will be, and then we'll make sure that there's enough funds available with Dakota County to decommission the project, independent on who is going to be the end operator or user of the project. So there will be a security bond in place, and that's part of our application that we have to have that bond set. And then this is just our contact list. Daniel Smith, who's not here tonight, he's our permitting and land manager. And then we have Marta and Javier, who I spoke about, and who are here in the audience. I know I kind of flew through that, so I'm happy to answer any questions or however the board wants to run it. Yes, sir?
Okay, hold on a second.
Oh, sorry.
Does the board want to go first, and then we'll, just tell me if you guys are on board with my thoughts. Maybe we let everybody ask one question first, and then depending upon our time frame, then we'll let people ask second questions. What I don't want to do is have somebody ask 10 questions, and then we run out of time, and other people don't. Is the board okay with that? Good? Okay, Norm, go first. You got any questions?
The 20,000 homes,
Yes, sir.
where are they located? Who's gonna get that electricity?
Yeah, it'll be local. So the 20,000 homes, where we inject the electricity is where the electricity will be used. So we might have a virtual power purchase agreement, which maybe you've heard about, where we sell electricity on the market. And we can do that within the network of MISO, which is one benefit of connecting. But the actual electrons that are generated from the facility are going to flow on the line that we're connecting to and then be distributed to the homes here locally.
Jordan? Question I had was I looked at some of the landscaping maps, and it didn't look like the tree line would totally surround the project. It looked like you were mainly just going between houses and the project. I still don't know if the residents are going to be real excited about driving down the road and looking out at your solar project in our community. So is that your plan, or will you totally surround the project with trees? Because also then there are ordinances, and I'd have to look into them a little bit further. I don't know that we allow you to spot, put trees up. So how are you going to address that issue?
Yeah, normally we don't screen with trees the entire project perimeter. We'll put a fence because there's going to be, obviously electrical equipment, and so there's FERC standards where you have to fence off the perimeter. And so our fencing can have screening in it if that's an impact from the road. But our main concern is people's homes and residences, people that are kind of surrounded by the project or embedded within the solar facility site to make sure that those are addressed with trees. But you know, it's like 1,400 acres of total land that we're developing. And with the topography changes, I don't know if all of that area needs to be fenced with trees, but it's definitely, if there's an area that has a large impact or, you know, stretch of road or something, then it's something that we're definitely going to consider. But it's more on a case-by-case basis, yeah.
Okay. DJ?
Mine's kind of screening related too. There are some people that are kind of wrapped around. What kind of considerations would you have for like enhanced screening, like beyond a double row, for people that, you know, have it on, you know, multiple sides? And kind of the second prong of that is, you know, can you start planting the things now so that, you know, they start,
Mature.
you know, growing and rooting ahead of time? You know, I wouldn't imagine you need to access roads, you know, adjacent to people's, you know, homes. So what are the thoughts or policies on that?
Yeah, we could maybe do a phased approach. Normally it's better to do the planting after construction, just so that way you can roll the equipment and make sure that, you know, all of the planting measures and trying to grow the actual trees are done at one time. But we could do a staggered approach if that's something that, you know, especially if it's going to be a home that's right in the project area, and there might be, you know, a concern of the construction. Normally it's a condensed period for construction though. You know, you can probably do a project of this size in about a year. And then they'll be locally constructed, so just you know, the activity will be kind of intense in one particular area only for a few weeks, and then it'll shift to a different area in the project. And then there's also times that we can only construct, so it's not like 24/7 noise or construction. And then, you know, with the topography changes, you know, we're definitely kind of trying to address all the concerns that we could have with the vegetation screening. If there's any type of double rows that we can plant or, you know, more mature trees, then we'll consider that.
Can I have just a follow-up question to that?
Sure.
Without breaking the rules. So at what point do we sit down and have those type of, you know, this area should have more, you know, this area is kind of neglected, and like, when does that, I guess, part of the conversation with us occur?
I think it can start anytime, you know. We're working on getting a geotech study. You know, our permit application isn't fully through the process, but really the permit just allows us the footprint of the project, and then what kind of happens within the confines of that project boundary can still change. So it's still a fluid conversation even after that permit is granted. But it's going to be a conversation that we have all the way up prior to construction and our final engineering designs. So I think starting the conversations early, figuring out what the concerns are of the community and the public, as well as, you know, the township, and starting that conversation now is the best.
Thanks.
Anytime.
Keith?
So, when it's all done, 25 years from now, let's say, do you guys have a timeline on you're calling it decommissioning, to take everything back out? Is that like a year, a 2-year, a 3-year after it's over? But with that said, or would it be possible after, you know, lifespan of a solar panel, 20, 25 years?
Mm-hmm.
Would you leave it there and put new panels on and go another 25?
Yeah, we could. So we lease the land under like a voluntary lease with the landowner. And
Yeah.
so it's really up to the landowner's discretion if they want to re-lease the land to the project. So after 35 years, you know, assuming that the technology keeps advancing and the panels keep getting more efficient, and there could be a better technology to deploy in the area than solar. So assuming that that's still a, you know, a viable option, then we could, and the landowner is willing, you know, we could start a new lease and then start basically a, you know, a phase out of the old equipment and putting in new. So that is something we could do. The bond is in place so that way we can decommission the whole project. We just decide, you know, that was enough of a run for the solar facility. The equipment that we're going to be installing, since we're tapping the line, will be an existing the substation will be there, and so the equipment that we're gonna be reconductoring the line and making sure that there's a substation there will, I guess, give us a good reason to start a new project instead of just scrapping it and walking away. But yeah, it really just depends.
All right, we'll turn over to the public.
So, is all the solar stone?
Did you, well, I don't know if we want to write everything down in the minutes.
David Mom.
Did you want to be listed in the minutes as speaking?
Sure.
Okay.
David Mom, M-U-M-M.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Dave.
So is all the solar stone stuff out the window, all the drawings they had that I saw? I mean, are you gonna live up to those? There was setbacks, there was all kinds of drawings. Showed where your stations were, where your inverters were gonna go. Are all those drawings gonna be redone? Or are you gonna live to the solar stone ones, or how's that gonna work?
Yeah,
This seems like this is brand new.
Yeah, it's we're kind of running off the same framework that Solarstone had. So the lease agreements that we, like the whole project, I guess, that we kind of purchased from Solarstone, all of the lease obligations that are in the contract, we still have to abide by. So there's not like a new lease. So if there's any setbacks within the landowners or any type of agreement that the landowners have with us with our lease, we still have to honor those.
So I'm more interested in not the landowners, but me who's next door.
Yeah.
I wanna know if you're gonna, can you reissue those drawings?
We can. So for
I'd
the
like to see, make sure that I still like what I see.
yeah, no, that's completely fine. I think for
So they had everything, they got to the point where they had it all laid out, they had the setbacks drawn in, the tree lines, the fencing, the permanent building that was gonna get put in, and other stuff, and so, yeah, I'd like to see that reissued.
yeah. So the location of the major equipment. Sorry. The location of the major equipment we can't change. That's part of the MISO application. And so the configuration that is going to be able to be modified is just the panel orientation if we change that. Possibly the inverter spacing, especially as we work with road use agreement and how we're going to get access roads into the internal workings of the solar facility. But like the substation, where the inverters might be feeding the substation, are going to be the same. And then the project footprint is still the same, so the boundary.
Okay, so can I have you email that to me? Talk to you after the meeting, or give me my email address?
Yeah, it's like a still work in progress as we're ironing out exactly where the equipment will be. So it's like an iterative process.
So I'm mostly interested in the setback spaces around my property, and Cheryl else is interested in the exact same thing.
Yeah.
And like I said, we had all seen all this from Solarstone. This feels like we're starting off from a much lower level than Solarstone had gotten to. That's why I want to see that.
Yeah, okay.
So,
If I can interrupt?
Yeah.
Is there a potential that you could get like these drawings and whatever you have proposed to us, that we could put them on our website?
Yeah, that's fine.
Or even if they're on your website somewhere, we could put a link on our website to get to the drawings and get to everything that Dave's talking about. Is that conceivable that could be done?
Yes, absolutely. And it's part of the e-docket, so it's already public.
Okay.
But we can definitely make it more easily available.
You can send it to us so that we can go look for it and
Yeah.
stuff like that. Okay,
Exactly.
Dave, we could work on that and get it on our website then so that.
yeah,
we'd be
so
able to-
everyone can, that would be great.
Yeah, I think we can do
absolutely.
that.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna get a picture of that so I can get your email address as a
And we
contact.
can put that on the website too, the contact information. If you could get that page to me, we could probably get that on our website fairly quick, so.
Absolutely.
Who else has a question? Brian, you go ahead and I'll get you next.
So kind of a multi-part question. You said that all that electricity is gonna be just local, but yet you're connected to MISO, which is, you're a wholesale supplier of electric. So you're out to make money with it. So it's gonna go on the open market and be sold to the highest bidder. So how does that keep it local?
Yeah, so the electrons just flow locally on the line. But the way that MISO, the market works, there's nodes within MISO. And so we'll sell locally at the node, physically where we are. And then there's a financial transaction between, you know, whatever the price per kilowatt that we can sell at a local node. We have a virtual PPA typically with like a Meta or a Facebook or even like Caterpillar or a different company who's trying to offset their renewable energy standards is typically who we sell to. And so you can sell the actual electricity, so like clean electrons being produced on the line, and then there's also renewable energy credits that are calculated or generated from the project. And so you can sell those together or independently. It just depends on how the power purchase agreement is structured. And so that transaction, the facility might actually be in Illinois, but we're producing power here, you know, in Castle Rock Township. And so they're buying electricity at their local node at whatever hub price they're purchasing the electricity at, and we're selling it at our hub price. And so we're reconciling those costs independently, but kind of virtually we have a swap for swap of electrons of what we're producing and what they're using. And so they're...
Are you connected to XL line or Dakota Electric?
Marty, do you remember where we're...
Because you're in XL, you know, we're Dakota Electric.
Yeah.
So I don't know how you could differentiate that you're providing electric to a certain number of households when you're on the open market, selling it to offset wherever.
Yeah.
So what Patrick said is maybe we are not going to the open market because we are going to sell to a certain company. And the benefit for this company is they are going to have the energy like cheaper for us because probably the market is going to be higher. So this is more or less the business that they are making. And in fact, as he said also, we are putting the electrons on the node, and they will try to find the most easiest way to the closest household. That's why we are saying that these 20,000 houses are going to be provided with this energy, because we know that they will find a path with the less resistance that they will find.
So will we see that on our Dakota Electric utility bills? How much is produced by this particular solar farm?
There's going to be, an affection in the cost, but we cannot estimate how the Dakota Electric is going to be in their prices like for 2029 when this start operating.
Have you started working with Dakota Electric yet?
No.
We have an ad hoc meeting with them, and so they're part of the conversation that MISO has as the regional overseer of the entire electrical market, and then they kind of talk to the local TOs as they inject in lines and then figure out what our actual costs will be. So there's like upgrade costs that may be accrued, and so the developer actually has to pay for those upgrade costs. Like say we're overloading lines because we're injecting more megawatts than the line can handle, then the developer actually foots that bill. And MISO determines what the cost will be, tells us what we owe, and then works that out with the transmission operator. So like Dakota Electric. So they kind of oversee that whole process. But the system in general is kind of like a copper plate. And so there's just electrons buzzing everywhere across the whole system. And MISO's job is to try to see where those electrons are flowing and make sure that the system is balanced. And so that's why they provide these upgrade costs and then calculate what we actually owe. And then how the electrons actually get bought and sold in that market is more like the stock exchange in a way.
You're selling to the highest bidder though, and that could be Georgia, Florida.
The electrons are being used locally, but the power purchase agreement that's virtual could be anywhere. Yes, if that makes sense.
Sir, you were up next.
Yeah, are you gonna, this spring, this summer, are you gonna stop and talk to people that live around where these solar panels are? Someone called me the other day, in between the cell phone, I couldn't barely understand who it was and then I realized it was somebody from your company, but I have no idea what they're calling about because it was broken up on the voicemail.
Yeah.
So
We can try, but there's some of our land team calling because we have to update some of things on the agreement with the landowners. Maybe this is the call that you received, but if the voicemail was if you couldn't hear it, you can reconnect with us and we can try to figure it out what that was.
Yeah, we've been trying to communicate even like with people that are, neighboring the solar
Yeah, that would be
facility.
me, I'm not a well, I'm a landowner, but I'm not
Right.
benefiting from this. But my thing would be like BJ, I'd like more screening because outside my front window, a couple 100 feet, I'm gonna be looking at the solar panels.
Yeah.
As ugly as they are gonna be. And the back too. So, I mean, I'd be one of those people that would like more screening ASAP because you say 35 years, you're gonna plant trees. Well, this contract will be almost up before the trees are tall enough to do any good. I mean, it sounds nice to put trees in, but realistically, we're gonna be taking a dirt nap or these things are gonna be no good by the time these trees do any screening. So these trees should be going into the ground tomorrow to do any good.
Or plant big ones.
Or yeah, bring in big ones.
Sure ones, yeah.
And you gotta put more than just 2 rows in front of somebody's yard. That's gonna be, I'd like 3 or 4 rows. And I'd even pay for a couple trees just to look at them versus the solar panels. Well, I'm supposed to be getting free electricity here, right?
All right, thank you. Remember, if you want to be listed in the minutes of speaking, state your name, so.
Have you guys, come up with a solution about this vegetation being planted directly underneath the power lines there and what those limitations are?
Yeah, we're still running so we definitely have to abide by the setbacks for the transmission operators, that way they can service the line. And so we're still running to ground exactly what those setbacks will be as we communicate with the transmission operator. And then there's also like shading considerations with planting trees closer to the solar facility. We can't shade some of the panels. But we haven't ironed all that out, but it's still pretty preliminary. We still have to do geotech work to really finalize the rest of the layout. And so that's gonna help us kind of understand a little bit more about the subsurface and what the entire complexion of the site would look like.
So will there be a solution then if you can't plant trees in a certain area that then don't provide screening for our property?
Yeah, there will be other solutions that we can work out. Either screening that's, like fence screening that has some type of, something, obviously trees are the best for the eye. But I'm sure there's something that we could work out that would be
Well,
agreeable.
how high is that fence gonna be? Because like you said, there's topography, and a 6-foot fence isn't gonna do anything to the glare that I'm gonna be looking at out my front window. And I'm assuming the panels are facing south,
Yes.
correct?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, there'll be a
So,
single axis.
there's not gonna be, unless you're erecting, a border wall, it's not gonna block the glare from my site. So I just wanna know personally for my property, if there is gonna be issues with that power line and limitations to that screening, I would ask that there is a legitimate solution to that problem, not just we'll slap up a 6-foot fence that's a privacy fence for this 100 feet or whatever, because that's not, I guess the point is there's a lot of other issues. It sounds like you guys are doing stuff, but there's not enough conversation with homeowners, even just knowledge of the land itself that's gone into place. So it's like, I feel like there's a lot of cart before the horse here. And again, I feel like that even just speaking to the board, you guys represent us. And so this is on you guys as well. You guys need to be doing this legwork for us as the residents, because we only have so much say. You guys have a little bit more pull. So those are things that I would ask that you guys are thinking about when you're having meetings and things like that.
Absolutely.
Yep,
Hey,
go ahead.
Heather Manningham. I would go out on a limb to guess that maybe this isn't your first project,
That's right.
correct?
Yes.
So what's the likelihood that the screening actually, I'm sure people of previous projects where you were building close residential, like you've heard these questions and requests before. What's the likelihood that it's actually happening? Because you're doing a lot of nodding, maybe implying that it's possible, but is it really possible?
Yeah.
And if we have requirements, is there a chance that you're actually following them, or is it you just have to follow what the state is requiring?
I mean, there is a condition in the state that says that we have to do this landscape plan, so it's one condition of this permitting. So we are required to do this. And
Can you
that's what-
expand on what landscape plan is?
Yeah, this vegetation screen that we are talking about.
So just like, because there's a lot of solar panels around here, right? And what I see right now, and maybe others see something differently, but it's a pretty skinny tree that, like the gentleman was saying, takes a long time to grow, and, you know, we want immediate solution to help block some of that glare and just, you know, the view. So what's the requirements of that?
Yeah, I mean, we have to, like, it's one of the conditions of the permit, and the thing is that, as we have stated before, like, we have to find like a common point of negotiation, like where this is like okay for the project and for the community, and we are trying, there is a proposal there already with these 2 arrows of trees. This is not the final proposal, we are only at 10% design of the project, so until 100% there is like a lot of steps in the middle. So it's just an initial thing, let's say. We have tried to like supply the areas that have more sense to cover with trees, but we are open to negotiation. It's just a preliminary. All that we are showing here is preliminary. All the design, the electrical design, and then the landscape plan.
Maybe I missed that, I'm late, I'm sorry, but when, like, what's the timeline for that? So preliminary, when's the earliest that trees and vegetation could start to be planted, or?
It's, as Patrick said before, normally they are planted after construction,
Right.
for the roads to be, like, for the construction to occur properly.
Yeah.
With any issues. But we can study, we can do something in certain areas that are not going to be affected by the machines or something.
So back to my first question, like, this isn't your first rodeo, so what's the likelihood that any of this actually happens? The vegetation that you described, I think, is not the vegetation that we're asking for. So where have you actually done more to provide that screening that I think we have in mind? Have you done it before?
Yeah, but it differs, of course, depending on the project. But as I said, like, we are open to negotiation, and this is going to happen because it's a requirement.
Yeah.
I mean, I think if you would have a portfolio of pictures of projects you've done.
Dave, we gotta take everybody one at a
Well,
time.
this is a follow-up to help her out.
I know we'll come back to you. Kelly, you were next.
Is there ever a situation where you negotiate with owners to have it on their property? Because the closer trees are to your home, the more screening you're gonna get from like what you're talking about, like long distance. Is that something that is a possibility that you've done before, that you can negotiate, work with each homeowner that's affected to see like the best outcome of what they think is important? Because what, you know, each individual person thinks might be different, and what a win is for one person might not be a win for another. Do you guys negotiate that individually?
Yeah, absolutely. We would like to meet with everybody, you know, individually and figure out what the instance would be. You know, we don't want to assume that we can put trees on property that's not incorporated in the project. But if the landowner is open to that, then that's absolutely fine with us. You know, it would just be probably like an agreement that we would have to like draft and then execute so that we have permission to come onto your property and plant the trees. But that's definitely something that we would be interested in doing. So happy to discuss that.
Yes, sir, right there.
Neil Peterson. Trees are all great and everything, but where my house is situated, my house sits here, farmland is down here, and then it goes up a nice grade. You'd have to find some trees from the East Coast that are a couple 100 feet tall.
Couple redwoods.
To even start to block the view that I'm gonna have, that I used to have of corn, and now I'm gonna have an entire solar, and there's not a tree around that's gonna block that.
Yeah.
That's my view,
No.
period.
No, we understand that, and you know.
So you're gonna write me a check?
Right.
Yeah, well, we're sensitive to that. I mean, I don't think that any amount of vegetation screening is gonna, if we develop the project, you know, the panels are gonna be there, and so there's gonna be some impact. You know, if we can, you know, work with you to minimize that impact of this project being in the area, that's really what we're hoping to do. But we know that there won't be, a solution for everybody, and probably people will see the panels from some angle. And that's just gonna be part of the project being in this community. But we wanna be definitely receptive to what that is like for you all. We're not just like here, we're gonna do this and we're not gonna put any thought towards it. Atlantica really wants to be an equitable developer. I know that not all developers are created equal or do the projects the same. But Atlantica being a long-term owner and operator, we really want to be, the forerunner and somebody who's proud of the projects that they're developing and not just, sticking sore thumbs in people's eyes. And so that's part of this conversation. So I'd love to see what it looks like from your house, see what it looks like with our plans, say, you're right, I don't see.
I just built it.
Yeah. Or we can, I don't know what the likelihood is that we could shift any panels around, or if there's something that we could do to help just offset that. Even if people want to participate in the project, we're getting further in the permitting, and so our footprint boundary is becoming more solidified, but if there's ways to shift the boundary of the project so that way we can put panels in more opportune places for other people that are neighboring the project, we'll be open to that.
Because that's gonna have a definite impact, obviously, on my property value.
Yeah.
I went from a really nice view to, now I got power lines, and now I got solar panels, and what's the next thing? Big pink elephant in my backyard? It just keeps getting worse.
Understand.
So,
Yeah. You were next.
well, that's,
This kind of came in, do you have any connection to this data center that's planned?
No.
Zero? There's no agreements and nothing?
No, the only thing, no, we have no connection or affiliation with the data center.
Would you ever sell electricity to them once this gets going?
We normally have a power purchase agreement beforehand, so unless the data center is like operating, and then has a reason to purchase power, I don't know who's developing it, so it could be an affiliated company. I guess the PPA that we're working with would be anybody who would be willing to sell the electricity to. I don't know of selling we wouldn't be selling the electricity behind the meter to them, if that's what you mean. Like if we're producing power for the data center to consume directly. We're kind of locked in with connecting into that transmission line. And then the data center may connect into the transmission line so the electrons may flow to the data center if they need it. But that won't be like a behind-the-meter project or something that's tacked on to that. It would be separate.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Maria, go ahead.
I have two questions. Is Pacifica still, do you still have Pacifica as your entity? They bought you or bought Solarstone, correct? Huh? Or Atlantica, I said Pacifica. Atlantica. So Atlantica, is that still who runs this project?
Yeah, Atlantica Sustainable Infrastructure, that's
Because
right.
I've heard rumors that they might sell again because Atlantica doesn't look too good on the stock market. And I just wondered how that would reflect in this community if the company folded.
Yeah, do you want to chime in, Javier?
Atlantica was before the stock market, but now we went private. So it's full private, and it's the owner of Castle Rock Solar LLC. That is the specific company that is developing this project.
Has the PUC been notified of the new ownership?
Yeah, we notified the PUC.
Because usually ones that are signed up for the PUC stuff get those notifications, and so I haven't seen a new notification of the new owner.
You see the docket? There's a notification letter that was sent by our legal team, and sending the notification of change of ownership. You can see in the docket.
And was that a recent one? Another recent one? It showed Atlantica.
When did they file it? I think it was,
it was
we acquired it in May.
in June, something.
Yeah.
Was there anything in October yet?
In October, we already had the project. Like when we did the public hearing,
Yeah, but the change of ownership notification was filed in June. It's in the docket.
Okay, my other question is, so you guys filed your site permit to the PUC in January of this year. And in there is showing the current ordinances for setbacks in Castle Rock Township.
Yep.
Is that in stone?
The set, with the current set, sorry, did you say the current
Current
setbacks?
setbacks for the solar panels in this township, is that in stone?
Yeah, so the setbacks that we applied with in January are the ones that are set in stone with the application. So they don't adopt like new setbacks if they've been passed within the township. It's the ones that we filed in January. But those setbacks are the ones that we have to adhere to in the application. And those setbacks haven't changed throughout any of the process, and they won't.
So the setbacks are currently 300 feet from residential homes.
I don't know about the specifics of the setbacks. Off the top of your head, Marta?
No, mm,
Well, it's in the PUC dockets, everybody needs to read the dockets.
okay.
300 feet, then you're saying?
Yeah,
Oh, 300?
yep, that's it.
And we can get a setback table and also provide that for you all. So that way you don't have to comb through all the documents to see what the setback is.
Who's next? Peggy?
Yep. When you were talking about all the special considerations with, precautions against non-native species, toxicity testing, wildlife impact, protecting topsoil, restoring wetlands, is this just during construction, or do you do an assessment for any of those deficiencies throughout construction and maintenance afterwards?
Yeah, I believe
And how
so.
often?
Yeah, there's like an entire emergency response plan, a health impact study. I don't know the exact like stipulations within the state of when those studies happen, but it's going to be an ongoing thing. If there's a spill, there'll have to be like, we don't have chemicals or anything that could really leach from the equipment. I know karst is like an issue or a concern in the area, so we're doing a separate karst survey. And with karst, like groundwater contamination is a big concern, and so there's setbacks that are in place within the conditions. But I guess like if there were any type of like EPA spills, we have to remediate those types of accidents, or I think it would just be equipment that would possibly leak.
And
Yeah, so-
environmental things, like wildlife and everything like that?
Yeah, absolutely.
You'd assess that?
Yeah, during the operation of all of the projects that we have, we do like every 2 years we do internal audits where we evaluate the operation, the maintenance, the environmental and the health and safety of every project. We have our internal standards and if a project doesn't comply with that for some reason, we have to take actions to come back for the previous status to be able to always comply with that. And also we perform audits with external companies, like somebody that comes to the project, a third party, that evaluate from a health and safety and environmental perspective how we are doing. They recommend us actions to take in the cases necessary for all the projects in operation.
And I would like a follow-up question, because everybody gets one.
Sure.
Who maintains the trees and the plantings and berms and all that?
Yeah, that's us.
Who watches for any dead trees and replacement, anything like that?
Yeah, so that's part of like our on-site work staff. So there's a vegetation management plan and then there's the vegetation screening. So in the operations and maintenance, structure and how we're going to operate and maintain the plant, we'll have like a separate vegetation management plan, like how we mow the grass, restricting chemical use, things like that. And so that'll be part of the management plan. And so there should be like a point of contact, hey, this is an incident or whatever happens and you need to replace this tree, and then we'll respond.
Okay.
So I'm Jeannie Foster and I'm on 230th and I'm completely surrounded by you guys. All three sides, and looking across the street I'll see it. So I'm hoping that you guys on the board will make sure that we have plenty of trees in between, because this, first of all, we got the oil pipeline and then we got the big electrical lines coming through, and then, we're gonna add more electrical lines on top of it. And now we're gonna get these solar panels. I mean, we're like, Utility Alley, not 230th Street, and it's really gonna affect our property values. I mean, who wants to look at all that ugliness, you know, I mean, honestly, they're ugly. And they're gonna make noise, the inverters are gonna hum. I just don't get why you're so close. I mean, you're coming right up all the way around my house. It's not okay. And you guys are gonna have to put lines and lines of trees to actually, or buy the house. I mean, do you guys ever make offers and then you can house your employees in my property and I have a barn and you guys could, you know, store some tools there or something so I can get out and not have to look at this? I mean, do you guys ever buy properties for reasonable price?
Yeah, we sometimes do acquire land, sometimes like where we host the substation, you know,
Well, yeah, I'm right a couple houses down from the substation, like a field over, and that's another thing, it's like, what's up with the substation right by the homes, right across the street from homes, and what does a substation look like? Is it a building, or is it that curly Q, looks like, you know, the oil refinery off 52, where you're in another planet or something? I mean, look around, this is what we're used to, and then we had to get the oil shoved up our ass, and then the electric line shoved up our ass, and then more wires, and now the solar panels. Just not okay, not fair, unless we're gonna pay like, you know, $500 a year in property taxes or something to compensate for that. I think you guys should, I guess I don't trust you, you know, I just don't, and I want the board to absolutely say, you can put this in, but we want to guarantee that there's 4 rows of trees in between my house all the way around, because, I mean, it's just not okay. I get progress, I get that, you know, the farmers want to make a shit pile of money on this, I get all that, but we still have to be protected because I've lived here since 1999 and paid my taxes and, you know, put up with all this stuff coming through, and I'm up to here with it now, unless we get compensated or you buy the house. I mean, it's great, you know, we can maybe talk about that. So,
All right, anybody else have a question?
Maybe just a follow up to that, Jerry. Is that possible?
Okay, well, let's let Barb go, because she had her hand up a while ago.
Well, I'm gonna have to say I agree with Jeannie times 10. My daughter lives across the street from Jeannie. And my thought is, and maybe I'm wrong, and maybe I missed something along the line, but other than the people's land that you're leasing this from, who else benefits? When you say 20,000, Dakota Electric isn't gonna get it. It's gonna be, you know, is the electric bill really gonna go down? I mean, what is the ultimate gain to have it in Castle Rock Township? And whoever decided on 300 feet, where did the 300 feet come in? Was it something else and it's changed to 300 feet? Can they change it to 500 feet? Is there anything that the Castle Rock and the community with these people that it's affecting? You know, when my daughter bought her house, her land in 2017, she paid a lot of money for that acreage. She was never aware that they were going to be putting up solar panels. The person she bought the land from never told her that. And it sounds to me like that started back in 2017. I could be wrong. But I'm just wondering, who else benefits other than the people who own the land?
nobody, really. I mean,
People who own the land and who inherit the land are gonna benefit. That's
Right.
gonna benefit.
Yeah, I'm not trying to support, to defend this project, but I mean, there will be, as you mentioned earlier, there will be money that comes into the township, okay? And that we do get, like you said, between what, $46,000 and $76,000 a year, and that doesn't go into your
come
pocket.
on.
Divided by 20,000.
Okay?
40,000 a year? I mean, whee!
Okay,
That'll give you one plowing or grading,
all right, I'm just letting you know though that there will be some money that will go back to the township. I realize it's not that much, I totally get that, but there is, that's the one thing that will come back. So, go ahead, you already got your turn, so I'm gonna give her a shot at it, okay?
Why?
Yeah, I want to know the transparency of the people who are going to be surrounded by this project for their houses. We are brand new to this. I'm sure all of you are lovely people. I have barely met any of you, but we are going to be surrounded by three sides. The north of our property is going to be all solar panels got the snow today, I can only imagine what the glare is gonna be. This is our reality. The right side of our house is gonna be all solar panels, and behind our house is gonna be all solar panels. We are brand new to this neighborhood, and this is, it's kind of crazy what's going on right now, and who is going to be benefit, and we can't even talk about the land ownership, but the depreciation that me and my husband and my family are gonna have from this brand new house that we just bought, no one can talk to us about what the depreciation is going to be. I've read the dockets, tooth and nail, 1% all the way up to, I think, 5-ish.
5.4. Your guys'
Depending on who it is,
says-
it goes to 7,
Yeah.
and it depends on the setbacks, and it's about half a mile, we are well within the half a mile.
No, the docket says half a mile, up to 5% devalue in your property. That's half a mile away,
We're
not
way
300
within.
feet.
right.
So you guys can't tell us.
My question is, who is going to be accountable for in 5 years when I've got the substation across the street, I've got all these solar panels, and I've got kids that can no longer go out because we are now surrounded by solar panels? Who's gonna buy my house? Who's gonna do that evaluation for us? And if we're gonna say it's 5%, like, good luck getting people that wanna live here. I wanna live here, but I don't right now. And I can't even sell my house for what I just got it for. And so again, I'm sure you guys are all lovely people. I'm very passionate about this, and I wanna know who's benefiting, because no one is gonna be paying my mortgage. So there's my question, is where's my house value, if I'm gonna take $50,000 at minimum of that 5%, I'm just gonna eat that, apparently, is what I'm hearing. But we want a solar farm right here, it has to be right here in the middle. I don't understand why. So I guess that's my question. Why right here? Why in the middle where people live? Why here?
Yeah, so the transmission line that's in the area has capacity, but really it's landowner cooperation. You know, we can't just crop the project in places that we don't have enough site control for the project. And so, like, we understand that the land that we have secured for the project footprint is, you know, surrounding people that aren't part of the project. But really it goes, you know, one, you need the land in order to put the facility, and then the second would be the transmission line that runs through the area that has capacity to support a project of 150 megawatts. So.
And my ask to your company is, please look at everybody in this room and do what's best for them and not the landowners, and making sure that just not their properties are taken care of for the screening and what they need. Make this a bigger project and not just the people that are gonna getting a monthly paycheck from this project. Because we're getting jack from this.
Pete, go ahead.
Yep, I just wanna let everybody in the room know, the board doesn't vote on this, whether it goes in or not. It's not our decision. So, we can try and do what we can for screening, that's probably about it.
But
We
you
don't
guys
give it-
negotiate, right?
I don't think the setbacks are even I'm not 100%
I've got
sure.
a spiel on this.
Oh, you have a spiel, but I just wanted to let you guys know, we didn't decide whether it comes or not. If there, and he kind of alluded a little bit, if there's land owner cooperation, that's how it got here. Wasn't the board. We didn't get to say, bring it or not.
All right, so at this point, I do have one quick question. How is this gonna get resolved? So I hear the landowners, right? I feel their pain, but I understand what they're up against, right? Okay, so let's say you guys put this thing in, and all of a sudden, the landowner out there's got the glare going off their house. So, you know, they're gonna come to us, we're local authorities, and then we're gonna come to you, and how does that process work? So in other words, one of us board members or the board in whole, we come to you and say, this person's house, it's just unacceptable. The glare on their house, I mean, I'm standing out in their front yard, and it looks like a airport parking lot. It's not acceptable. What happens when we say that to you? It's not acceptable. Where's the negotiation? Who resolves our differences in that?
Absolutely. There should be a complaint resolution plan that we have drafted. So this should be hopefully addressed ahead of time before any type of issues are set in place. But you know, there'll be a complaint resolution plan that we'll have. And so there'll be a process that we'll go through to be able to to mitigate any type of complaints, any type of neglect that the company has with the solar facility. Anything that we do that would be outside of the laws or bounds that we adhere to or agree to do within the county. So that's how it would go. There would be a path for that.
All right, so let me hold on, let me check with the board here real quick. We are getting past 8 o'clock. We have a really long agenda to go with. Would you guys be willing to hang around out in the hallway and answer questions for people?
Yeah.
Does the board think that would be the appropriate thing to do?
I do, I hate to cut people off, but.
I know, but we're gonna be here till 10 o'clock just doing this.
I understand that
And
too.
then we'll never
Yep, I get
get
it.
our
Yep.
agenda. So,
And one thing just to note, I guess, we're hoping that this is the start of like multiple conversations to have with many people over like courses of weeks and months. So anyway, we're gonna try to find a way to be able to get in front of you all again. If we have like local office hours or something that we have somewhere local that you guys can come to that's more available. Anyway, there's going to be things that hopefully we can do in order to get in front of you and hear your concerns as you guys process and think about what this is like. So,
Is anybody from your team local, or are you guys
hold
all?
on.
Yeah, I just got one thing, I kind of mentioned it to BJ earlier. If we had another one of these meetings, with these folks, it may be better than not one of our
Like
meeting
special-
nights.
like
It could just
special
be a special meeting for
Yep,
like
we-
just two, because we could go on for 2 hours and not get to our.
Let's look at doing a special meeting on a night where you would be the only thing on our.
That sounds great.
So we can set that up down the road.
yeah.
So for right now, again, we don't want to cut anybody off, and I apologize for that, but again, we do have an agenda.
All for you guys actually in town, so you guys are all out of town, right?
Yeah, that's right. We come in, we have a whole land team that's dedicated to, trying to reach out to folks.
Yeah.
And so we can really come in, as much as needed. These projects are big and they move somewhat slowly. So there's not a lot of changes from day to day as we're refining, running studies. So there's not like a lot of need to meet, like monthly, but at least like a quarter. We'd love to be plugged in more, make sure that we understand. Initially we would like to meet even more if we can. I know the holiday season is coming up, so that makes it tough. And then farming communities, harvest and planting are not reachable. But yeah, we like to, seasonality wise, be able to be approachable. So, as much as we can.
All right, so anybody that wants to ask any more questions, if you guys want to go out to the hallway, Jaylene, if you could make sure that the door gets closed in, so that you guys can talk in the hallway out there as long as you want, because we're going to be here for a while tonight. We got a lot of stuff to do. So,
Sure.
So yeah, and that, I thank Patrick and you guys all for coming in, and again, your questions out there, and then get in touch with us. You can send it to the clerk. Anything that we can get on our website that we can share with the residents.
Okay, and do you guys want these posters?
You can do them behind. That'd be, yeah, absolutely. That'd be awesome. Okay.
Here's your posters. Yeah, one of those is
Okay. All right. Okay, we're gonna take a quick break here for a minute. Okay, let's get the meeting back to order. That's you, Pete. Yep. All right, so next thing on our agenda, let's get the November 10th Board of Supervisor meeting minutes approved.
I was down there. I was in the solar world.
Did anybody have any corrections or anything on November?
I know I looked at them at home.
Good, Norm? Okay, do I have a motion to approve the November 10th Board of Supervisor minutes?
Pete second.
Pete made a motion, BJ made a motion, Pete seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. All right, do we want to get on to the Castle Garden thing, Pete? Can you get that one done next? Okay, come on up, sir. Grab a chair.
What about public comment?
It's coming. That's next.
You're about 2 sections away, or not sections,
Let's make
items.
sure we're not skipping.
Sections.
Grab a chair, sir. Okay, Norm, you can probably bring us up to date on this. You were at the planning commission meeting, what he's got going on.
We're looking for an addition in that, but the planning commission, right now denied because he wants to put in a commercial kitchen. And to do the commercial kitchen, he has to upgrade his height. So he's gonna have to have a special hearing and stuff to do so. So that's why he's.
Okay, but I thought we were also, wasn't he trying to just get the approval to get the footings
He's
in?
to get the footings in that, but they approved that, but they didn't approve the kitchen part and the IUP.
So we're talking about building, no build out, no interior build out, just a storage building.
Right.
So we just need to approve tonight, just him to go ahead and do the building?
That's right.
Okay.
And then he has to set up a date with the planning commission to have a special hearing and stuff like that.
Public hearing?
Yeah.
Yep, okay.
To move ahead with that.
So all we're voting on tonight is that he can go ahead with the building project?
Right.
Is there
I have two questions. The first one is a storage shed on the workshop.
Okay.
That's not, the other one is an addition to what we call the main assembly building, the office building that we have there on the back.
Okay.
One part is a meeting room, one part is, which would be the kitchen.
Okay. And Norm, the planning commission approved all the setbacks and everything, I'm assuming?
So I assume this is an accessory building. Is there drawing setbacks? Do we have math for setbacks? Do we have?
All that's presented.
You brought that to the planning commission, I don't know that we ever got a copy of it.
And they passed everything?
Yes.
Setback, everything's good, is what I guess is what I'm
Yeah,
asking.
yeah, okay, a little makes it this way, get our paperwork straight.
I know,
Which is fine.
that's fine. If the
Which is
planning
fine.
commission approved all the setbacks, I'm fine.
Yeah, so basically, we would need a motion to approve for both of his construction projects.
So moved.
Okay, BJ makes a motion to approve the 2 construction projects for Castle Gardens. Do I have a second? Norm seconds that motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. And then you will get your
One teeny small
Yep.
correction, so Castle Gardens used to be the Rock and Roll Bar. A
Oh,
long time ago.
oh, what is the official name
This
now?
is the Gardens of Castle Rock.
Gardens of Castle Rock.
Not the Castle Rock, well,
I didn't know.
2 names ago.
Right.
Yep, all right. You got that noted properly in the minutes there? Okay, perfect. All right, anything else?
So then the IUP, which I'm fine with, they wanted to look at my interim use permit, which is 13 years old,
So that'll have to go through the planning commission, a public hearing.
on January 26th. I just
That's-
wanted to make sure that.
That is
that's
your
the
next
date.
step. Yeah, that's your next step, and then once they recommend it, the public hearing, then they have their meeting, they make a recommendation, and then it will come to us.
Okay.
So that we'll look at it we'll look at it in February then. Yeah, February, is when we'll get your final approval.
Perfect.
All right, thank you, sir. Did everybody, Molly found this the other day. She doesn't know how she missed it and stuff like that. The reorg meeting minutes, we never got them approved. From April 8th, 2025. When she was kind of cleaning up there at the end, she stumbled upon these. Yep. The only thing I found on that, does everybody have a copy?
Yeah.
Okay, the only thing I found out on that was, no, maybe it's right. Dave Nicolai made a motion to nominate BJ Ellis as vice chair.
I wasn't on the board at that time.
That's what I thought. There's something, it just didn't seem right there. Do we just need to wipe out that whole sentence? And then is it all correct?
I wasn't a member then, so I was having to carry over.
That would have been, that almost is like you weren't part of this either.
The year before.
So it's only you and me?
Jordan would have been on that, Norm would have been on that.
Oh, Norm, oh, yeah,
That's
you're right.
that's from the year.
My bad.
Does it?
Carry over.
Right.
My bad. Okay. Yeah, so I think it's a typographical error.
It sounds like it was from a year before.
We just want to strike out that line, and is everybody okay with it then?
I would think that's good.
What's that? Right here.
I saw that.
Dave Nicolai made a motion to nominate BJ, but it's like, Dave Nicolai wasn't on the board.
Neither was BJ.
Yeah, he was BJ. So, Do you have a copy of that, Nicole?
I do.
Okay, so do you see the line we're talking about, where it says Dave Nicolai?
What
So
line?
you're,
I can't even find it. I'm looking.
I've read it.
though. I know it too.
One, two, fifth paragraph down, third line at the end.
And at the top it says
First page
April
is like-
8th.
Sorry.
It says April 8th at the top?
Yeah.
Yep, okay, you're on the right page. And then,
It's under election of
Oh.
officers of the board.
Yep, it's under election of officers, be under this one, right there.
Third
Starts with
line.
Dave Nicolai.
so we're gonna straighten that whole sentence out.
It says Dave Nicolai,
Okay,
motion to
any-
nominate BJ.
Any other changes to that anybody can remember? Okay, do I have a motion to approve the April 8th and that reorg meeting minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve the reorg minutes of April 8th.
Pete makes a motion, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Jordan seconds. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
EJ abstains because I wasn't there.
Okay. And that needs to be listed as minutes when somebody doesn't vote. Okay, so that is done. All right. Now, we can get on to public comment. BJ, you wanted to, first on public comment?
I want to say something here real quick. Well, not real quick, but.
Yep.
All right. Before we get too far into this tonight, I made some prepared comments that I'm going to read. I want to provide some clarity on the topics that I've heard are the important ones tonight, namely solar ordinances, and perceived conflicts of interest. The Castle Rock Solar Project is a proposed 150 megawatt, 900 plus acre wholesale solar field that will be within the township limits. Given the size of the project, state statute 216E.10 applies, which reads verbatim, to assure the paramount and controlling effect of the provisions herein over other state agencies, regional, county, and local governments, and special purpose government districts, the issuance of a site permit or route permit, and subsequent purchase and use of the site or route locations for large energy infrastructure facility purposes is the sole site or route approval required to be obtained by the permittee. The permit supersedes and preempts all zoning, building, or land use rules, regulations, or ordinances promulgated by regional, county, local, and special purpose government. You don't have to take my word for it. This is the statute right here. The state preempts our local zoning and land use controls by this law. The township has no control in approving or denying this project. And despite what you're being told, while they may attempt to work within the framework of our zoning requirements, there is no obligation to do so. For example, our existing solar ordinance clearly states that a 640-acre section of land can have no more than 64 acres of solar on it. The project clearly does not abide by that. Why? Because our ordinances are set aside in favor of the Public Utilities Commission and their decision-making processes. There was a public meeting nearly 2 months ago hosted by the PUC and the permit applicant. Castle Rock Township had nothing to do with it. Why? Because the PUC is in charge of permitting this project. I also have a copy of the cover sheet of the application of the solar project along with the project contact at the PUC. I have a copy up here for whoever wants it. Bottom line, you all have legitimate concerns regarding this project, but you're in the wrong forum if you expect answers and solutions. If you disagree with this state law, I encourage you to reach out to members of the legislature to have it changed. Next, and directly related, are continued and persistent complaints about conflict of interest in my role. Yes, it's true, my father-in-law will be a participant as a lessor in this project. This has never been concealed. It's also a fact that someday him and my mother-in-law will pass away. It would stand to reason that at some point in the future, hopefully distant, that my wife, along with her siblings, would or could inherit property from them. I have no direct financial benefit from this project. Furthermore, any actions I choose to take as relates to a broad-based ordinance review affecting the entire township and not just a single project will ultimately be moot as relates to this project. Again, the board does not have permitting authority over this project. Moreover, our local land use controls, despite what people are saying, are preempted by state law. Again, the statute reads, the permit supersedes and preempts all zoning, building, or land use rules, regulations, or ordinances. Any actions I may take on the solar ordinance are for the township at large similar to how some board members may indirectly benefit from other sections of ordinance, such as clustering building rights, for example. I will say that if my in-laws had a smaller scale facility proposed on their land that was under the review of the Castle Rock Township Board, I would absolutely abstain from it. However, this is a far different scenario and reaches all residents of the township, not a specific project. Furthermore, I have worked diligently to make sure my understanding of the laws and conflict of interest issues are clear. Beyond reading the resources available from the Minnesota Association of Townships, we have laid out the scenario to our township attorney and that attorney. And I also had a conversation with Special Investigations at the State Auditor's Office. I have copies of this correspondence as well, for all those that are interested. Additionally, a resident previously sent an email referencing Minnesota Statute 471.87 as a potential reason for my disqualification on the issue. This statute reads, verbatim, except as authorized in other sections, a public officer who is authorized to take part in any manner in making a sale, lease, or contract in official capacity shall not voluntarily have a personal financial interest in that sale, lease, or contract, or personally benefit financially therefrom. I don't see how this language relates in any way to the issue at hand, but don't just take my word for it. I have the statute language that was used to imply that I shouldn't take part in a township-wide ordinance discussion on a project we don't have the authority to approve or set standards for. As a result, I am confident that no statutory conflict exists and that I can continue to objectively handle the business of the township. I am not going to abstain from this discussion. Lastly, I am available to any resident who has concerns or want to verify what they have been told has any semblance of accuracy. My words are not lies. My words are not misrepresentations. My words are based on opinions of legal professionals, review of state laws, and are based on facts, not conjecture, not personal animosity, not a personally desired, predetermined outcome. I hope you all see that. I have printed off this statement, as well as the source documents and correspondence referenced for anyone who would like to come up and take a copy.
Thank you, sir. Okay. I did forget to mention under public comment and that you get to make your comment. The board is not going to get into discussions about it. If you want to get into discussions about something, you do need to be put on the agenda and that. But everybody will get their public comment. We typically limit public comment to about 3 to 5 minutes. Does the board agree with that? You know, BJ took about 5 minutes, and everybody should get 5 minutes. So, okay. So that being said, who else would like to talk on public comment? Heather, we'll start on that side of the room.
How do we well said, very thorough there, BJ. Sounds like we did a lot of research. I just wanted to ask, so if somebody in the public feels that there still is a conflict of interest, do you have any idea about what the proper course of action is? I'm sure that if I feel that way, I need to provide some evidence and open up an investigation with the state, right, to dig into that?
Yeah, I'd say call the State Auditor's Office or the Attorney General's Office.
Do we know if we have any references or like?
I was trying to find like a specific, because they have lots of different departments. I couldn't find one that I thought would perfectly apply, but I'd say go on the website, call any number. I'm sure they'll get you linked up with the right spot. And my phone number's on the website, ready to talk.
Again, not trying to cut you off, but we don't want to open up too much of this back and forth because otherwise we could be here all day. So, anybody else, public comment?
Can I just ask a question? So you're saying that the ordinances that you're trying to pass have nothing to do, they cannot follow our ordinances?
They don't have to. And I connected with the project contact at the PUC, and she said, within their application, they're generally trying to work within the confines of the ordinance, but they're not obligated to do so.
But they could.
They could, sure,
Okay.
and they could be more generous or attempt to be less.
Okay.
But I remember the original solar company said, we strive to work with the townships and their setbacks and land use controls if they're reasonable.
Okay.
And remember that? Yep. And so I think, I'd asked him later on, what does that mean? And he's like, well, we've been in communities where they've had, in our opinion, unreasonable setbacks, and we've just, gone with kind of the market standards and got approval for those.
Okay, can I make a comment then? I would like to make a comment.
Okay.
Okay, so the problem, BJ, is that, and I have nothing personal against you, I don't even know you, but your father-in-law does have acreage on this solar farm, and in the past, you have repeatedly decreased the setbacks on solar from 500, you did.
It was never 500, actually it was, the side yard setbacks were originally like 10 feet. We went to 50 feet if they abutted. There was no minimum, I think there was 100 feet minimum from a house before we started. They went to 300, so we tripled the setback from the house. And the initial setbacks were the same as that building, which were 10 feet, like side yard setbacks. And we went to 50 feet if they abutted a house. So we 5 times the setback from what it originally was.
Okay, but in July 2023 minutes, the Planning Commission had advised 500 feet, and the minutes say that you made a move to cut the 500 feet down to 300 feet.
Yep.
Do you remember that?
I felt 300 feet was a reasonable.
Okay, and then Nikolai had made a move to increase the solar cap to 10%, and both of those passed. And the Planning Commission and Pete actually tried to bring it back to 500, and it wouldn't go. So being that your father-in-law does
So
own
he
that.
made the motion and there wasn't a second.
Right.
So it wasn't me controlling the narrative,
Right.
it was 4 people that voted.
No,
for it.
but the month before, you made the motion to bring down the setbacks from 500 to 300. And right now, the Planning Commission also wants 500.
1,500.
500 from a house,
That's for a
1,500
substation.
from a substation.
1,500 from a property line, not a house.
Substation.
It says 1,500.
It says 15. Okay, yeah, folks, all right, you don't have the floor.
Okay, anyway,
All right, so finish your public comment.
I will.
And then we're gonna move on to the next.
Yeah, we're not gonna debate anybody, I said.
We're not, this is public comment.
Yeah,
This is
okay.
not debate.
Okay,
So
so
finish your
anyway,
public comment, we'll be done.
okay. So anyway, that's what the minutes say. And the appearance of a conflict is just as important. Like, I know your attorney said that there is no public comment, but is the bar set at a low point where if we would be sued, we would win? Because we should be setting our bars pretty high, when there's a personal integrity going on. But anyway, right now you have, you guys voted in a solar moratorium in April 2024, and now we're at 20 months waiting for those updates on that on your ordinances. While this 1,300 acre solar project's coming in. You know this project's coming in, and yet we're 20 months waiting for the updates on the ordinance. So either that makes you look very incompetent, or it kind of makes you look like maybe there's intentional negligence on getting those ordinances passed.
Oh, we're not gonna get.
And you don't have, okay, so anyway, I'm just
Finish
saying,
up.
we ran out of time, and then you're kind of running out of time, but, several of you have voted no on having 2 meetings a month. So I'm just saying, if you need time to get some of these things done before this big project comes in,
We're
maybe that could be
gonna
the-
talk about the ordinance manual a little
Okay.
bit later in the meeting.
Okay, that's my
All right, you've had your fair share. Anybody else under public comment, want to make a comment? Go ahead.
In June of 1025, you, Jerry Larson, you called BJ Elvestad back to serve on the board again, and even despite his father-in-law having this, there was a conflict of interest in most people's eyes here in our township. And you had him come back on the board, and last year, there was an election where Russell Zummer was up on the website. He won by 2 between Jordan Harper, and then the next day, all of a sudden, it's a tie, like 2 mail-in ballots were found, so then it was a tie. And then later on, one came in, and then it broke the tie. And the people that were at this meeting were all upset, and yet you just shut us down because you're saying that you had the attorney there on Zoom, and the way this went, it was very obvious that the whole thing was just pushed right through to us. And I don't think that Russell should have been treated that way, because he was even here at the meeting that night to volunteer for that seat, and BJ wasn't even here. And yet, you just decided that we needed BJ because of the data center lawsuit. And I feel that that's just to keeping control of the township board. And recently, when I sent you emails, Jerry, about the conflict of interest that I felt there was with BJ being on the board, because I knew that he changed the setbacks from 500 to 300. It just, overall, I'm just looking at how our rural area is just being harmed and taken away from us. And we've had past members of the township kind of advertising behind closed doors about Castle Rock wants a solar, we're open for solar farms. There's, you know, we've seen that, you know, David Nicolai's video advertising Castle Rock way before, you know, so it wasn't like Minnesota just picked us, okay? Under the table, people were advertising that are gonna make money on this, okay? And there are townships that have ordinances that do not allow data centers or solar panels because they appreciate the aesthetic of the ag land, and they don't have to put up with that. And we just have never had an ethical type of people that are looking out for the people in the township. They're mostly looking out for the reason why we're where we are right now.
I find offense to that. I feel like I'm pretty ethical, and I was up
I don't mean, I'm not talking about you guys, I'm talking about
Folks,
certain ones,
okay.
excuse me. I'm only
Again.
talking about ones that have
All right,
conflicts of interest.
so-
Okay, let me finish.
Wrap it
Okay.
up. You
Okay,
had
David,
your time.
Nicolai, and BJ, I'll just name it that way. I would like the moratorium, you know, put back on, because Judge O'Reilly at the public hearing in October said, absolutely, when this goes through, they have to go with your ordinances. So I don't know what that means in relation to this statute, BJ, that you just read.
Come pick
So,
up- come pick up the
no, so
copy.
now that means that there has to be more conversation as to why Judge O'Reilly said that when they come into your township, they follow the ordinances. So I would like to request tonight that someone make a motion to change our setbacks back where they were and not just accept that we have no say, because we don't know that until we find out from Judge O'Reilly.
Okay, all right, you had your 5 minutes,
Thank
all
you.
right.
I have one quick question.
All right, we don't answer any questions, public comment, you can just make a comment, we don't get back and forth,
Okay.
otherwise we'll never get on with our meeting. If you wanna have a
I
back,
guess the question is to me. Okay?
well, you make the comment, yep.
Yeah, the comment here is that what benefit to the Castle Rock landowners, residences, would be served by changing a setback to less rather than more? That's my deal. Why would you do that? If your purpose here is to serve the Castle Rock residents, why would you even propose to lessen the setbacks from 3 to 5?
Okay, I don't wanna get into a back and forth, but.
Well, it's out there and it's
No,
on the
no.
record, correct?
And that's fine. What I would suggest is that you come to the working meeting where we're talking about the setbacks. We actually sit here and discuss the setbacks, why we set them at what we do. We don't just pick numbers out of the air. There are reasons why we do the setbacks as to what
Well,
we
there's
do.
only one reason why a guy would say, I want to lessen it from 5 to 3, that's to get more solar panels in and raise
But
the
you're talking about
rate
one
of
issue,
percent more.
and that's, okay. All right, anybody else want, public comment?
Yeah, it was gonna be a question, but we don't answer questions. And so I guess I'll phrase it into an ask. I don't know, I spoke to them, again, on their docket information, it shows a devaluation of property of 1.7 to 5.4, and that's half a mile, not 300 feet. So I asked them if there's any sort of compensation to affected landowner or homeowners. They said that that was not put into the contract. So I don't know if there's anything that you guys can do as the board or anybody in here who's smarter than me that has more knowledge about this. If there's anything that we can do as a township to be compensated, if there's any sort of pull you can pull with the county and dropping property taxes to recoup that. I guess I'm just throwing that concern out there and hoping that there could be a solution to that.
It looks like there's gonna be more ongoing meetings, like Pete had suggested. we're gonna have some special meetings where the whole night will be dedicated to the solar. I think that's where we need to have that discussion. So please come to those meetings, and that's, we can get your input. But we, the board, plan on working more with them to find out the details. And that, I've got concerns of myself, even though it's not in my backyard.
I hope so.
I represent you residents, we all represent you residents, and,
Doesn't feel like it.
well, but again, there's limitations. That's why I come to those meetings, so we
I've been
can.
coming to meetings here for 20 years, and it's
Well,
9 times out of 10, it don't
All
feel
right.
like the
All right.
board is on our side.
Okay.
My comment is that, I don't know any of you guys really either, but I just hearing tonight that if you have a father-in-law or something that has land, that it's going on, that would definitely be a conflict of interest. And I think Castle Rock has kind of looked away from conflict of interest, pretty much like when Nikolai, all of our money was in Nikolai's bank. And you can roll your eyes and huff and puff and do whatever, but dude, I mean, how do you not even see that that isn't a conflict of interest? Just common sense that it would be. I mean, anybody can see that
Okay.
if you're look, I'm making a comment.
All right, go ahead, finish up. Go ahead.
You know, I mean,
Go ahead.
whatever. So you do have a conflict of interest, whether you think so or not. Common sense, you know, 5th graders would see that as, you know, a conflict of interest. I just don't like your attitude
I don't
either
like
with
your
your
attitude at all.
with your face and
Yeah,
huffing and
you.
puffing. And yeah, you look like a real a-hole, and you can mark that in the book. And Jerry, I hope that our roads are plowed tomorrow. All right, very good. That's all I gotta say.
All right, anybody else have public comment? Kelly, go ahead.
Let's go.
Okay, so, I'm gonna say this, BJ's my husband, my dad has land and solar. We didn't want it, we told him, don't do it. We don't want to look at it either, but it's not our land. It's not our land, we don't have a say over it. And to be honest with you, that land isn't even probably gonna go to me. It's in a trust, and he is completely cut out of it, specifically. So that if we get divorced, he can't have any say over it if the parents are gone. The fact of the matter is, we had discussions about this, and if you don't wanna say this, I don't really care. If you guys have crazy setbacks in negotiations, when my parents were there, they said, you can come in and listen to the meetings, and I said, don't trust them, because it's just words, unless it's in a contract, you don't know. And they said, we will negotiate if it's reasonable. If what you have is 500, 1,500 foot setbacks, we will look completely past and do whatever we want. So you have to be reasonable. And that's why he said, 500, they will not work with it. We heard them say that. They will not work with 500 feet. They won't. And the law is the law. This judge may not have understood what they were saying, but the law is the law. So to call BJ does more work on this board than probably anybody. He spends time, he does research, he calls lawyers. He wants to have the right answer. Not the answer, we get nothing from it. Nothing. And we have to look at them too. At first, my parents were going to have them up to our backyard. And my brother said, I want to farm some land, please don't put this in. My brother wanted to farm the land, and my dad made a choice because it's his land. He's worked it for 50 years. And if he wants to get something out of it, he can. So,
I think we should talk money.
what money? What money? There's no money. My parents have got not one dime from this deal because it was a shitty deal for them. Not one dime have they gotten yet. Not a thing. And they're 83. Like, the fact of the matter is, you don't own your view. I sit across from an event center that has events going on all the time and flashing light of that big ugly sign. I had zero say in it. I don't own that land. And when you don't own the land that you look at, yeah, there's going to be, who lives across from that place that they have all the snowmobiles and stuff, right down on that avenue? I don't know if those people are here. Right next to where Ken lives. They have a bunch of crap. That's me. Sitting there. And there's nothing the township can do about it.
I know.
You don't own your view. Like, it sucks, and I don't want it either. BJ doesn't want it. Like, and to call his integrity, like, after our family has given like 12 years of service to this township. For nothing, we haven't gotten, before, we built our house before either of us were on the board, and we haven't applied for one permit, gotten one thing in 12 years. There's no special interest. So I'm done with the bullshit of crazy people who call the cops on our chairman. Is that going to get talked about tonight?
Yep.
Because, I'm sorry, Drea, what you did was reprehensible.
I didn't call.
Who did? Who called the cops?
This is a jury trial and
Who called the cops?
it's none of your business.
No, you're going to call my husband's integrity into question? I don't think so.
All right, folks, all right, settle down. All right, thank you, Kelly.
I gotta go get my son for basketball.
Okay, any other public comments? Okay, Bree, you got 5 minutes.
Okay, I'd just like to say, as a planning commissioner, we have had, Jim Hyman has requested a joint meeting for the planning commission to meet with the board. I have requested a joint meeting with the township and this is all in purpose of the ordinance book for the solar panel ordinances and the data center ordinance to help protect future industrial projects near residential homes. To date, unless you're going to say something tonight, to date the board has not had a joint meeting with us in order to explain the updates that were in the book, and to, you know, you can speculate that Drea did this and Drea, but that wasn't all Drea. So we all did the updates and redlined it, and we all have copies of those redlined books. It isn't just Drea. So, and then I just would like to reflect the minutes in 7/24/23. You know, the solar panel really wasn't saying to you guys that, I don't think, not that I'm seeing in the PUC, it's all written in the PUC, that, you know, a 500-foot setback could have worked. And he was asking for 500, but the rest of the board wanted 300. And so, and the planning commission wanted 500, but yet the board wanted 300. And so I know, Pete, you were trying to get it back to 500. And I know the planning commission's recommendations, which Norb was on, was wanting at 500 too. So sometime tonight it would be nice if you explain why the 300 versus the 500. And I just want to make a note, I know how to run the GIS on the Dakota County maps. And BJ and your father-in-law, you're 700 feet from the proposed project. We're only 3. So we get 3, you get 7. Starting out, I was a concerned citizen, and now I'm a planning commissioner. I have tried numerous meetings in the last 2 years presenting the importance of deeper setbacks for residential homes for the Castle Rock solar panel projects and data center ordinance for thresholds and to help protect our township and our people. I just feel it's all fallen on deaf ears, is what this 2 years has been about. Our current setback for solar panel project are in the pending permit with the PUC, and they reflect the 2023 approved setbacks by the BOS improved zoning for the solar projects passed back in 2021. Site application was applied January 16 of this year. E-docket 24-67, if anybody wants to go on the PUC website and read about all the project. I just asked that the board move on approving the ordinance book update recommendations soon. Not that they're going to help, but they need to be changed and for the better for the people. I believe our planner Jeff asked that we move on it, and the PC Commission and two board members have been wanting to approve these too. Let's see. Our planning commission can make the public hearing date for January 26th. If we need to do that, it'd be nice to get it passed or get it up to that point, January 26th. And we can set that at our next meeting, December 15th. We are drawing near for the PUC approving the site permit for solar project. We need to have all steps finalized and reflected in the minutes by February 10th. BOS meeting before they apply the local township permit. Recently, I received an email from the PUC stating that there will be impacts to the property values. It is stated that in the PUC. It is stated in the environmental review, property that is adjacent or within the proposed project will receive greater impacts to their property values. There are 154 homes associated to the impacts of this project. None of these homes will receive any financial benefit from the solar panel project. I ask the board to reconsider the proposed planning commission setbacks that will help adjacent homes and their property values, but obviously as of tonight, that just does not apply. Look at all the royalties that will be made off the landowners benefiting from the solar project on all the homes adjacent and within the project that will decrease in value. That is a significant difference for all of us.
I want to ask you a
Okay,
question.
all right.
What's going to
Oh,
happen?
Hold on, okay, so you had your
I
5 minutes?
just wanna
Oh,
say-
Ma'am, you had your 5 minutes.
I have one sentence.
Finish.
I have one
Okay.
sentence.
One sentence left.
I'm a commissioner. PUC docket 24-67 is available to the public, and you can go to eDockets, public, Minnesota Public Commissions. And that's it.
Okay, all right, thank you. Jordan, you want to make public comment?
Yeah, I just want to clarify that the board, we have to take the proposed changes.
We'll be talking about that, it's on the agenda.
Yeah, I just want to clarify that we've only had the ordinance manual for 2 months, and some of the things that we found in there were crazy. Like, nobody with less than 40 acres would be able to put up any sort of building with the ordinances that were in there. Nobody. No accessory buildings, nothing. No egg building, like in every zone. It was limited unless you have 40 acres. So that's why we are going through it and taking our time with it. And we've only had it for 2 months.
All right.
You complain about setbacks and everything about that. How about us people that right out here that, with the town of Farmington, who we're gonna have that big building there and noise and everything else? How about that? How about us people?
Right.
You bitch and complain about everything else. How about us guys? How much are we gonna get out of it? Not a damn thing. We're gonna probably lose more than you are. So I just keep your mouth shut and quit your goddamn bitching.
I live in the
All right.
neighborhood.
That's
I
All right, folks, we're not gonna get you back and forth here. Anybody else want to be under public comment? All right, then we're gonna move on. And that, we're up to road report. Plowing policy, just for the people that are here, we kind of go through it every year. Audis is our contractor for doing our snow plowing. They are just giving kind of loose instructions from the board. They hit the paved areas first in town. The reason why they hit them is because they plow them with dump trucks. They can move a lot faster. A lot more residents can service it quickly. And then, folks, we said no talking during the meeting, all right? Thank you. And then they are instructed to plow the gravel roads in the most efficient time manner that they can. So we have no control over where they start. We just give them the instructions that do it efficiently. They bill us by the hour, not by the mile. So therefore, that's why we let them do it as quickly as they possibly can. I'm asking the board this tonight, their opinion on this. Moving snow into the right of way, it's always been a concern in this township, people plowing snow across the street and, from their driveway and then they dump it on the shoulder. Well, eventually, I noticed over the last year that then there's that bump in the road because eventually they can't wing it back as it freezes. I'm asking if we can put it on the website that it is unlawful to plow snow into the right of way, if it's okay if I put it on the website. And also that no harsh enforcement, but if somebody violates it, that we at least just send them a letter reminding them that.
I think we've put something in the Chronicle, haven't we, about?
But the Chronicle comes out in March, so that's the downfall of that. So are you guys okay if I put it on the website? And are you okay if we approve? Again, just sending them, it would be a standard boilerplate letter, just reminding them that they can't put snow into the right of way in that. I myself personally, I don't care if you wanna plow the snow across the road, just don't leave it in the right of way. That's my position on this. Board, give me some direction on that. What do you guys want to do?
I think
We can do nothing.
I think that's been standard. We always ask people, if you're pushing it into the right of way, to go all the way through the right of way. I think that's kind of
Yeah,
where the
I'm
goal's
just
always
saying-
been.
Do I have the okay to put it on the website?
I think it would be a good idea as a nice reminder.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do we
And
need a
then-
motion for that?
Yeah, sure we will, but, and then, how about the mailing of letters out to residents that do violate? Do we wanna just mail them a letter, not saying we're gonna threaten them or nothing, just send them a letter to remind them? Not everybody reads the website, let's be honest.
So that if somebody complains,
Yeah.
Yeah, if Bryce calls me up and says, hey, I'm getting a big snow mound across from this house, then we would just say, okay, I would direct, Nicole just to send out a form letter.
I think that's a good idea.
Okay, do I have a motion
Trying to get
to,
in front of it. Yeah.
so the motion, I will make the motion, it would be to, put on the website the right of way for plowing snow and authorization to send information letters to residents.
Will
You
you
get all
help,
that?
will you help me identify where the right of way is? I know on a lot of them, it's the fence line.
Well, it's
But
typically,
in some areas, it's not clearly marked.
it's 33 feet from the center of the road, right?
I think the big, if, it's always been in the past, if the wing of the road grader, what happens is, if they pile it right on the end of the road,
There's one out here.
and once that freezes, they come along and that wing hits it, spin the road grader around.
What you're talking
If it's outside of the wing, I don't think Audie's or anybody doing the
And
road
Audie
will have an
doesn't care,
issue.
he doesn't care if it's 5, 6, 7
Right.
feet back, he just doesn't want it right at the edge of the road.
If his wing don't hit it, I think we're good.
Okay, I made a motion, do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Jordan second, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. I did get a complaint from Audie about a resident who was following our plow grader around and actually plowing or stopping behind him. When he moves, when he stops, he stops. Do we want to address that issue?
I think that would be a sheriff, it's on the road, right, that's on a road issue. Yeah.
Right, good enough, then we're not gonna deal with that. All right, so now we are moving on to the next issue on our agenda. The planning commission concerns with the board. And I know that, you know, it's a little frustrating, you come to the meetings, I come to the meetings, Norm comes to the meetings and stuff like that, and, you know, the planning commission, and I've got some emails here from Steve Fensky at Matt. The planning commission is a subservient board to the town board. In other words, we appoint them, they're to assist us, work for us, and they do. And the work they do is very difficult. You know, they have to dig into the ordinance books and stuff like that. But it is frustrating though when you come to a meeting and they sit there and say, well, you know, the board is disrespectful to us, and the board this, and the board's purposely dragging their feet on stuff, and the board's doing this and making accusations. I mean, I feel like if I work someplace, I mean, many of you have jobs. If you sat there and bashed on your boss all day, how's that work for you for your employment? I mean, if you're a union guy, maybe it works out okay, but typically most places, you know, Steve Fensky sent me a letter on this, and I actually could read it off, but basically, the planning commission is supposed to be there in a supportive role to us. Whatever our projects are, they are to help assist us in getting those projects done. And I'm saying for the most part, you guys do your job. But I don't know why you have to, you know, bash on the board. I mean, if you don't like what the board is doing and that, you know, Steve Fensky gave a good recommendation. He said, you should resign from the board, or resign from the planning commission if you don't want to be on there and working with us. We're not perfect, I get it, and that, but there should be respect going in both directions. I mean, you guys sit there and squawk that you want the respect. Should we get the respect? You know, as the elected officials? I mean, I'm not picking anybody out here. I'm just saying, it's frustrating though when you sit in a meeting and you hear that. You know, I've been hearing for years and years and years, oh, Dave Nicolai, you know, oh, he's all corrupt. You know, he's corrupt. I've asked over and over again, provide me some documentation to that. Show me the documents. Yeah, no, we don't have any documents to prove it. We just all know it. That's all we have to know, is that we just know it. And then BJ is corrupt and that. You know, Don't need no documents to prove it. All we just have to know is that he just is. That's just good enough for us, right? And then you'll guilty till proven innocent kind of thing. So I just, I sat in a meeting where, and Drea, you were the one that stated it. She demanded a meeting with the board. She demanded it.
I didn't demand it, yes.
Yeah, you did. And that.
Doesn't matter.
Okay, so the bottom line is, how well does that work if you go into your boss and just, I demand a meeting with you? I mean, what do you do then? I mean, you fire the boss and say, if I don't get my meeting? I mean, and they won't meet with us. Well, guess what? We meet every second Tuesday of the month, and you're all free to come in and speak to us at any time. And that, now, they want to have a special meeting. Just so you taxpayers know, for us to have a special meeting, Pete, what's the cost on that roughly? $1,000?
I think if both boards probably, I think it's just 500 for our board, ain't it?
Yep. So if we hold a special meeting, because we get paid by the meeting, that would be $1,000 that we would spend just to what? Sit here and bicker at each other? Do you guys want to spend $1,000 taxpayer money to have two boards sit there and argue back and forth? No, the planning commission can come to our meeting. I go to planning commission meetings. So like I said, I'm just asking that it's back and forth. Last week we had a meeting and Drea accused Jordan of being against women serving on any boards and stuff like that. That Jordan's against that. And you did say it, Drea, because I was appalled by it. Okay, it's my time to speak. And bottom line on that is, guess who voted to appoint Drea to the planning commission? The guy right here that's being accused that he won't appoint people on women onto the board. And that's just ridiculous. To make accusations like that of a board member and say, you're misogynistic and that, when that person actually voted for you to be on the planning commission. Seems a little odd to me. And so, it's your job to be supportive, and I don't think it's your job to be so critical of us, and that's how it is. I guess I look at it and say, my opinion, if you want to criticize us, that's fine. Resign from the planning commission and then go criticize. That's what we get. We get criticized, and that's part of the job and stuff like that. But it's hard for you to be a part of the organization and say, well, you can disagree with us. I respect when you disagree with us, but I still think there should be some respect coming to the board. It's got to go both ways. So, with that, anybody else want to make a comment on this?
I wasn't at the meeting, so I have no idea.
No? Jordan, were you accused?
Yes, in some ways, yeah. I was accused of whispers, of being a person who whispers about how women should not be on the board.
I want to talk about this whole sheriff incident.
Okay.
So, Monday and Tuesday, I'm gone.
I don't think you can question me on that.
I'm not questioning, I'm making comment.
And he has the floor.
So, I wasn't here, but, I find out that planning commission members are sent in to train our new employees. I don't know what qualifies them to do that, but that's what happened. Apparently there was some thing that went on with Jerry when he was present. I hope that he could elaborate on that. I did reach out to the sheriff's office to see if there was a police report, anything that was reported on that. And I'm just going to read it. It said, we had a deputy respond to speak with one of the planning commission members last Wednesday. According to the notes in the call, the reporting party advised no threats were made and that she did not want our deputy to contact the board chair. The reporting party was provided several resources regarding some potential steps she could take if feeling harassed. So, it's obvious there was a call. It's obviously there was a call in order to speak to a planning commission member. And this is like egregious. This whole thing, like the conduct of people running around with their own agendas. You might point the finger at me, I'm pointing it back out. And I think it's a bridge too far. And I'm putting a motion on the table to immediately expel Drea from the planning commission.
Do I have excuse me, do I have a second on that motion? I will second that motion. All those in favor?
Hang on, can I say one thing?
You sure can.
I think that should, I respect your motion, but in the past, I think that a recommendation should come from the planning commission, but I just wanted to say that, I respect your motion.
I'm gonna read some minutes from a meeting from 2009. Mike Kiefer stated that Norb Kuhn has made catastrophic mistakes at recent meetings in regards to wind turbine clustering, with poor or no findings of fact, and feel he should be removed from the planning commission. Jerry Dolphin feels more research should have been done on the wind turbine IUP before recommendations were made. Sandy Weber requested more direction from the board in regards to processing these. Mike Kiefer made a motion, and Russ Elmer seconded, to remove Norb Kuhn from the planning commission by paper ballot. 5 ayes for paper ballot vote. Paper ballot vote. 4 ayes for removal, 1 nay. Motion carried. That was the process.
I remember when Norb got removed, and I was the one who voted against it.
I'm sure.
Because I wanted it to come from the planning commission. That was the same,
Yep.
same deal, that they kind of police their own, make a recommendation to us. But I respect your motion, that's fine, I just wanted to say that.
Yep.
Fair enough.
And then, so, we do have a motion on the floor, and that to remove Greer from the planning commission. BJ made the motion, Jerry Larson seconds the motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed?
Nay.
The motion passes.
And I'd like to state my reason.
Go ahead, Pete.
We have not heard the chairman's side of the story yet.
Okay, I came in here on Monday and that to meet with the new hire employees, and that, they were here obviously by themselves, and then Sandy showed up, and that apparently to do training. We had discussed it in a meeting, I'm not gonna deny that, but I don't remember us voting or approving it in that. Because I had my concerns with why would we use planning commission members to train staff who have, you know, no more knowledge than anybody else has as far as what's going on in that office and that. So, I stayed with them Monday through the day. On Tuesday, and that, Jaylene called me. I came down to the office and Bria was here. I asked why she was in the office because we had made a policy that nobody goes in the office. And at that point, she told me that I had to leave the town hall. And I was told I had to leave. And that. So I don't know if that's appropriate, that planning commission members can request that board members leave the town hall. But I did leave, okay? So therefore, the next day, then that's when I find out that yes, and then they came down here with the sheriff, and I don't know what the purpose of that was, because I was not even here. But part of the problem is, in that, were you guys ever notified of anybody coming to train you? I mean, did you get a call from any board members and say, these people will be coming down here to train you?
I did not.
Okay, neither one did. So my question, my concern is, you know, we tell them to keep the door locked, and then somebody walks in here and says, I was sent down by the board to do training, but we never know, the employees know that. So my question is, can anybody just walk into the town hall then and just say, I was sent here by a board member, let me in the office? And then, how are they supposed to know who to let in the office? It's their second, third day of employment, and if we've offered no training to them, we tell them to keep the door locked, but then just, somebody just walks in and says, I was sent down here by the planning commission, or by the board. I guess so, you know, how are they supposed to know? I think we, as the board, failed them. We should have notified them who was coming, who was gonna be doing training for them, but we didn't. And so therefore, the mess got created. But again, the problem I have with it is, and then I'll ask my board members, is it okay for a planning commission member to tell a board member they have to leave the town hall? Barb, is that okay?
I never said that. Pardon?
I'm sorry, I didn't ask you, so I asked Norm.
Of course you're not going.
First of all, I wasn't there and I didn't witness what everybody said in that, so it's hard to make a decision.
Norm, I just asked the question, is it okay for a planning commission member to tell a board member to leave the town hall? That's a yes/no question.
I'd say no.
Okay, Jordan?
No.
I'm gonna say no.
I think my feelings are known.
How do you feel about it, Pete?
My only, I would say no, but I have a asterisk. We don't know the context, which or you were told to leave.
Yeah.
Was that during an argument and she felt threatened? We don't know any of this. Or was it just, you're just saying it was a general if you were just having a general conversation and that was asked, that totally different.
Okay. Maybe we don't want to drag you in the middle of this. Was anybody yelling at anybody?
No. Bassier voices than normal were being used, but there was no yelling.
If there was no yelling in an argument, yeah, that's a whole nother ballgame.
Okay.
I don't know why the sheriff would get involved if there was no, I'm confused. I guess I can't get a clear picture. I'll be honest. I can't.
Were you told by anyone that you'd be required to give a statement? Did anybody?
I was asked to give a statement, I said I'm not participating in this.
Okay. Who asked you to give the statement?
Drea did.
The sheriff didn't ask you.
No.
So again, now, do we want to have planning commissions determining who gives statements?
The whole thing was ugly.
I agree.
It was ugly, it was terrible, and again.
I just have a couple things to say about it and I'll put it to bed.
Yep.
Here's where I'm a little confused. The night of our meeting with me, Norb, and you.
Yep.
And I said this our last meeting, that we threw out 3 names. Sandy, Barb, and Drea.
And Jordan.
And Jordan. Actually, there was 4. You weren't at the meeting, but we threw you out there in case you needed help with a computer and you were available. That was our thought. That was our thought.
Okay.
But, and I stated, we'll leave that up to the chairman and vice chairman. Once they start, you guys make that decision if anybody needs to be in the back room. That's how we left the meeting.
I assumed, and again, there was confusion, and that's why later in our agenda, you're gonna notice that I put it in there not, because this is gonna happen again, okay? If we decide something, we need to make a motion, and we need to vote on it.
Because then it's actually recorded.
Because it's recorded then.
Yep, and the last thing I have, I didn't hear anything objecting to Sandy being there on Monday. This was all about Drea.
No, I didn't want Sandy there either. She only stuck around for about a half hour, and then she left.
Okay. That was the first time I've heard you mention that, so I didn't know if you were just pointed at Drea?
No,
or the whole situation.
Sandy just kind of came in, hung around for a little bit, and realized that, okay, everything was under control, and she left. So, I mean, I'm assuming Sandy came in thinking that nobody else was going to be here other than them two. And again, the problem I have with that is now Sandy shows up and says, well, I'm here to train you, and our new employees are like, I don't know, who were they supposed to let in the office? Nobody let them know anything.
I was under the assumption chairman, vice chairman was going to take care of it. That's all we
I
left.
was under the assumption that on Wednesday night, we were going to then discuss how we were going to move forward. That was my understanding.
That was not talked about.
Okay, all right, we'll move on from this. So, we will have an opening then on the planning commission, and then, so if we have anybody interested in being on the planning commission, please let us know. And that, but should we post it on the website, or?
Never mind.
Do we want to just post it on the website for now?
Sure.
Yeah. Okay, so do I have a motion to post an opening for the planning position on the website?
So moved.
Jordan makes a motion to post to the website an opening of the planning commission. And do I have a second?
BJ.
BJ seconds. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed?
I just have one, I'm not opposed. I just have one question. So Drea got removed because of what?
Conduct detrimental to the township.
Yes.
Is that, because it wasn't the calling the copy, it was about
No.
speaking bad about the board?
Yes, it's a combination of things. I just think she does not represent the board. I also looked into this if we're worried about any type of why we can terminate them. Steve
Well, I'm not worried about that.
No, Steve Fensby was very clear on this, and that it's an appointment, it's not a job. As quickly as you get it, you can, and there's no recourse back against the township for when you lose your appointment on a board. And that, so that's according to Steve Fensby.
Oh, yeah, I'm not questioning that at all.
All right.
Not at all.
All right. The concerns with the manual.
I will just say one thing. I find it funny that when the planning commission had the ordinance and we requested a joint meeting with them, they were out 4 months. So I don't take those overtures too seriously.
Okay. All right. I'm going to go through a little bit for those of you that are here. Want to know, Jim, you want to hang around for we're going to do the ordinance manual right now. And yeah. Okay. The ordinance manual process, trust me, the planning commission, I know, has worked hard on this, and they're trying to get this result, okay? And it has been a long, grueling process for them. They've had different planners and that,